I'm involved in a lot of analysis over here. It may not look like it, but it's the rematch of the NFC Championship that has my attention. Philadelphia hosting San Francisco. Philadelphia, TC.
Yes, I hear you.
With the best record in the NFL. They're 10-1.
It's amazing.
San Francisco is 8-3, and yet San Francisco in Philadelphia is the favorite. And Philadelphia is getting 3.5 points.
Okay, so what do you think? What are you going to do?
Everyone
wants
to
know.
You want to know. I've already made my decision. I'm in. I'm in for 50 large. Just because I was so successful last weekend.
50 large.
On Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. Just
plus the
sure.
3.5.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, and everybody's buzzing about this. Everybody's buzzing about the line in the Philadelphia-San Francisco game. So I'm not the only one. My listeners in Michigan, Play Gun Lake Casino and Sportsbook app is what I recommend. Play all your favorite casino games for real money. Bet on your favorite sports. College football, big weekend. Michigan, heavy favorite. Playing Iowa in Indianapolis in their conference championship game. Sunday, then, pro football. Detroit, a 4-point road favorite at New Orleans. Philly, a 3-point home underdog. But when I checked the line this morning, it was 3.5. So check it all out. Go to Play Gun Lake. Get the casino app right now. Download all your casino games. Have some fun. Like me, have some skin in the game this weekend. It'll make it that much more enjoyable. Great offer for new users. You download the Play Gun Lake Casino app right now. You get a $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. That's for new users only. It's got to be wagered. Terms and conditions apply. See the Play Gun Lake Casino app for all of the information, terms and conditions. Got to be 21 and in Michigan. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER. Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline, 1-800-270-7117. Headlines now from the Thursday already. Oh, my gosh. Thursday edition of the newsletter. I need your help, TC, with this. My man, Piers Morgan, naming royal names. I'm confused. Help me understand this story. New book is coming out.
Right.
Young guy named Omid Scobie. It's called Endgame: Inside the Royal Family and the Monarchy's Fight for Survival. We all remember the Oprah Winfrey interview. I think that's when we first learned from Meghan and from Harry that they say there were questions raised amid the royal family as to what would the baby look like.
Correct.
Which was interpreted as racist.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean? Who said that? Neither would say.
Right.
Now what?
Okay, that's exactly right. So, yeah.
What a setup.
That was a great setup. So the new book has come out, and in the book, he does not name names, except evidently the Dutch version was put on the shelves and had names, the two names in the book. When the publishers realized this, they pulled them off the shelves and were going to destroy them. But of course, in this day and age, you can't get away with that. So people are walking around Holland knowing who those two people are. Now, the issue is, how did it get there? Originally, the author said that it was a translation error. The publisher has now sort of walked that back and just said it's an error. No one knows.
I smell publicity stunt.
Well,
I mean, we're talking about this book. I otherwise would not be talking about this book today.
Well, I must say, Piers Morgan is no fan of the author. He is no fan of his.
Nor of Harry and Meghan.
Well, and he calls him a lickspittle for the...
Nothing could be worse.
For the Duke and Duchess. Right. So he is horrified by this, and...
Wait, pardon me. Lickspittle, so he's gonna take their side and do whatever they want.
Correct. That's the implication. Right. And also that evidently in a prior book, the author said that Meghan did not participate. And Meghan said she did not participate. But later she was sued, and in court she had to admit that she sent an email. So
true lickspittle.
And the author has lied before. Once was about his age, but of course, who doesn't lie about their age, right? Is that really a big deal?
TC has been 50 for 10 years.
No, I'm 51, but I did lie about my age once, and no one caught it except for my sister-in-law. And it was in the newspaper. It was hilarious. Anyway, my point is, Piers Morgan is no fan of his. Piers Morgan is no fan of the Duke and Duchess.
Yeah.
He's
Piers a royalist.
Morgan, yes,
he's
he
a
is.
royalist. Yeah.
And he doesn't. He did out the two people, but he didn't. He was very clear about I do not think they did anything wrong, and now this hopefully will sort of clear the air.
Right. But Piers revealed what was in the Dutch version of the book.
Right. And in doing so, he did a huge setup, 8 minutes at the beginning of his show before he named them,
right?
Which, was genius. But would you like to hear how it eventually came out?
Okay, just to frame this, so we're about to learn, according to Piers, what's in the book.
No, not according to Piers. This is definitely what was in the book.
who talked about the skin color of the baby.
I'm going to tell you the names of the 2 senior royals who are named in that Dutch version of the book. Because frankly, if Dutch people wandering into a bookshop can pick it up and see these names, then you, British people here, who actually pay for the British royal family, you're entitled to know too.
I mean, reasonable.
And then we can have a more open debate about this whole farrago.
This is 8 minutes later.
Because I don't believe any racist comments were ever made by any of the royal family. And until there is actual evidence of those comments being made, I will never believe it. But now we can start the process of finding out if they ever got uttered, what the context
now 9 minutes
was,
later.
and whether there was any racial intent at all. Like I say, I don't believe there was. The royals who are named in this book are King Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales.
That's Kate.
And so then, interestingly enough, he goes, and I actually have the very beginning of this because he goes to introduce his panel of 4 people.
Right.
Who just found out right then that he was going to actually name them.
They had no advance
The
warning.
look on their faces, listen to this. So then
Well, joining me now
is
the royal editor of the Sunday Times, Roy Nicker, who just discovered I was going to do that. Royal biographer Tom Bauer, who also just discovered I was going to do that, and the professor.
And so then he goes and, they have a
Quite the
conversation.
showman.
They have a conversation about it, but the panel is looking like, oh my good Lord. So, yeah, so that is a very interesting development.
The part of it that is a little confusing is that supposedly this is based on letters that Meghan wrote to the king, right?
Correct.
And I'm just looking at the coverage of this. The published passage reads, even after Meghan and Charles, by letter, discussed about probable unconscious bias within the family, after it was revealed that Redacted took part in such conversations about Archie, Redacted has avoided discussing the subject with, again, Redacted. It just struck me as odd that Meghan would be writing to the king.
No, that
if the
wasn't
king,
that what you're reading. That was the passage from the book,
right? But the whole revelation is based on letters that Meghan wrote to the king.
Right,
King
but
Charles.
my understanding was that they had a back and forth about unconscious bias, which was maybe a newer concept to the elder royals.
Okay, I have a question for you. This would be worthy of a call segment, not today. Is it necessarily racist? To wonder what the baby will look like if the two of them?
I think it depends how you're saying it.
I don't know if there's any way you could say it today, and I don't mean in a racist way.
No. But what if you? I would think if my husband were black and I was having a baby,
right?
I would speculate what that baby would look like with my husband. I would say, like, do you think it'll look like you? Do you think it'll look like me?
Yeah.
I have friends that are black, are a mixed race marriage, and one of their kids looks like the father, and one of the kids looks like the mother. And it is astonishing. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's.
How
I
often,
don't know.
how often is there an attractive couple and you, oh my God, the baby's going to be beautiful?
Well, or
you see a baby and like, oh my, you look like the mother, you look like the father.
Right. I have a family that I know with 5 kids, and 2 of them look exactly alike, and 3 of them look exactly alike. Differently.
We just went through this.
I think you can say, but there's a difference. If you say it like, oh gosh, like
exactly,
right? Like oh my,
yes,
like a royal.
But
with
I don't know.
Skin,
I don't know
racist.
if in 2023 there's any room for nuance. I don't know. I mean, we just went through this not in a racial sense, but at the Thanksgiving table because our grandson, who is like a giant, and you remember because I told the story on air about. It was a difficult pregnancy and a premature birth and a really, tiny baby. And all of a sudden now he's huge. And it's like, you sit there and it's like, oh my God, he's so happy and healthy. He looks wonderful. And he looks just like you, or he looks just like you. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the sort of thing you do. All right, there's your Royal Watch story. Look, I'm into it. TC's into it. Obviously, Piers Morgan is into it as well. More headlines from the Thursday edition of the newsletter. This is really not a headline from the newsletter, but I've been active in Instagram in the last 24 hours with 2 images that I think are really cool. One of them I was prompted to post with the living legend Bruno Sano. And the reason that I did it with Bruno Sano is because there is, thank you, my friend Mike Baldini, there's that image if you're watching on YouTube. Look at me with some hair. And no beard. That is Bruno Sammartino. That has to be like 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
So good.
There's an Amazon Prime documentary about, it's just simply called Sammartino. Bruno Sammartino, as a wrestler, headlined a sold out, how is this possible? A sold out Madison Square Garden 189 times. And what's really awesome is that in the movie, when he's accepted into a Wrestling Hall of Fame, who inducts him? Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Come on.
And to see Schwarzenegger and Sammartino. Now, TC, you claim there never was a pre-TC era.
Oh, no, I don't claim
of
that.
this radio
I just claim
program.
that it was a dark time.
It was not a dark
sad
time. No, it wasn't.
And dark.
No, everybody
and,
was happy.
And dreary.
It was food and drink was plentiful.
It wasn't illuminated.
No, but that picture is from a pre-TC era. You never were there for Bruno Sammartino.
I was not there for Bruno Sammartino.
Okay, he came.
No, we had him on the radio.
Yes.
We
must find that.
Yeah, we definitely had him on the radio.
I'll ask Alice to help me.
Yeah.
But Bruno came to town for a public event that I hosted. It was just a crazy day. Anyway, I recommend for all you fans of wrestling, watch the Sammartino movie. Second Instagram photo. Follow me on Instagram. I never make that ask. But in 2009, I did participate in a meeting with Henry Kissinger. There we are in his
come on.
In his Park Avenue office.
Boy, your Instagram's on fire right now.
By the way, TC.
By the way, the two of them and you, quite a carpool.
I think, and in the image, Dr. Kissinger is signing something in my lap. I'm holding something. I think it was like a peace treaty. That's all I'm at liberty to discuss.
Oh, yeah. I think you actually, you know what? Unfortunately, if only you still had this, it is Middle East peace right there. And that is such a shame. That's amazing.
It's a Thursday. That means that Steve Breen is the editorial cartoonist who publishes in the newsletter today. Love that. Look at that. Gone away is the bluebird.
Here to stay
is the new bird, and it is an Elon Musk inspired cartoon. That's all. But I mean, again, visually, you look at it, it's funny, it's insightful, it's biting, it's awesome. I love these cartoons.
It's amazing.
Yesterday, poll results, 18,122 votes were cast. Is there any benign interpretation of the phrase, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free? 76.35% said no. There's no benign interpretation of that. Today's poll question, I know it's going to be lopsided. I promised I would do it yesterday. I'm totally into it. Which debate will have more viewers? Tonight, DeSantis and Gavin Newsom, or the fourth GOP presidential debate, which is in Alabama next week. It's going to be DeSantis and Newsom. I really wanted to see how many people would say, no, it's still going to be the GOP presidential debate. And I'm keenly interested. If I can stay up, I'm really interested to watch how it plays out tonight.
Agreed.
And it's
90 minutes.
It's getting so much attention. The LA Times, and we have this in the newsletter today, has like a tale of the tape. The Wall Street Journal has an editorial of a tip sheet about DeSantis and Newsom. The New York Times yesterday, Adam Nagorny, front page above the fold. Right? Do you think that kind of attention is being heaped upon the fourth Republican presidential debate?
I know it's not.
It isn't. And I've said this, but I'll just say it one more time. For DeSantis, I think initially this was perceived as a risky proposition. Now it's a must do. It's a Hail Mary. He needs it. Okay. Elon Musk. I referenced Musk a moment ago. Elon Musk participated in a New York Times Deal Book Conference. Andrew Ross Sorkin, who's been a guest of mine here and a guest of mine on CNN, smart guy, and I really appreciate Andrew Ross Sorkin, was interviewing Musk. Now, this, of course, on the heels of Musk being accused of anti-Semitism, liking or retweeting most recently something that seemed supportive of replacement theory. Then he went to Israel, spent time with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, said he wanted to participate in the rebuilding of Gaza. Some said this is an apology tour, a make good for the accusations of anti-Semitism, which caused an exodus of a whole host of advertisers from X, formerly Twitter. So about the advertisers, he was asked yesterday, and this exchange took place.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
You don't want them?
By the way, he's waving to Bob Iger, the Disney CEO at the time.
I figured that's who it was.
So,
but Andrew Ross Sorkin looked shocked. He looked absolutely shocked.
Well, and in the audience, the CEO is Linda Yaccarino. Her task is to make things right with all the advertisers.
How does she feel about that?
Exactly. That is exactly the point. Okay, so there's that. Happy news, remarkable story. I think Utah State quarterback Levi Williams has, I think, 1 year left of eligibility, but he's not going to fulfill it. He's just had a wonderful season last weekend, the regular season finale against New Mexico. He accounted for 5 total touchdowns, 2 through the air, 3 on the ground. Guess what? He's not going to play more football. Instead, he is going to train and hopefully become a United States Navy SEAL.
Isn't that remarkable?
Yeah, great story.
Well, it's phenomenal.
Great story.
Yep.
Also posted at Smerconish.com. Okay. All right. Let's get to this. The Golden Bachelor.
Like, what the heck?
Well, wait a minute. Is it now? Well, help me set this up. So,
did you watch it? I haven't watched it, but there's so much coverage of it that I feel like I know this man, and people love him.
Right, Gary. Right, Gary Turner, the 72-year-old star of The Golden Bachelor. I'm interested in it because when the show launched, this sort of new incarnation of the Bachelor series, I wondered, and this is the only way that I've brought it up on the program, are the 25 to 54-year-olds going to watch this show? And the answer is yes. The show has immense popularity. The storyline, TC, is that he was married. He's 72. He was married to a woman of 43 years. They had just moved into their dream home.
For 43 years. She wasn't 43 years old. You said of 43 years.
Oh, no. Important. Married for 43 years. Right. And they move into their dream home. Right. She has a diagnosis and is like gone in an instant.
Yes.
And the way that it's presented is that this is like a really good guy, and he was in love with his wife and had this wonderful relationship. And I think part of it is that he hasn't found love since, and maybe hasn't kissed since, but kind of presented as this pristine sort of situation. Like now he's ready.
Right.
Now he's ready to enter the dating world. And guess what? He's going to enter the dating world on television.
Right.
So the Hollywood Reporter has a story today. And of course, we've linked to it at Smerconish.com. Damn it, we have great story selection. Honest to God. We have the Hollywood Reporter on the Golden Bachelor. And we have the editorial from the Washington Post evaluating Henry Kissinger's record and everything in between. Anyway, so they do this deep dive now on his background. What did you think of what they uncovered?
I thought that what they uncovered was significant.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought
what? Anything stand out?
Yeah. I mean, I think that the fact that they built him as a restaurateur and he sold his
hot tubs,
Mr. Right, whatever that franchise was in like 1985, and was not doing that. I think they tried to make him sound really fancy, and they also made him sound like he hasn't dated since his wife died, and he has.
He has.
Which is not a problem that he's dated since his wife died, but if he's dated since his wife died, don't make it a point of saying he hasn't dated since his wife died.
They certainly took some liberties with his resume.
Yeah. Both his work resume and his romantic resume. And again, neither is a problem in sort of life.
Right.
There was nothing untoward. There was nothing illegal. There was nothing immoral. The issue is, like, don't make him be something that he isn't. My point is, maybe he's good enough as he is, but they on purpose made him, they really shined it up.
That's a good way to put it. Here's what the Hollywood Reporter said. Whether they learned about these discrepancies or ignored them to sell a buffed up, shinier storyline for greater impact, producers presented an incomplete and misleading image of Turner, which The Bachelor helped perpetuate in personal remarks. He's identified in chyrons throughout the show as a retired restaurateur, which is a fancy way to say that he owns or owned a restaurant with all of its attendant fun and glamour. According to his profile in LinkedIn, he last owned a restaurant in 1985 when he sold his Mr. Quick hamburger drive-in franchise in Iowa, where he'd worked his way up from high school.
Which I love, by the way.
Do too.
That's a great story.
Like,
why not have that story? But I mean, I guess if you say restaurateur, that is the letter of the law true, but like sort of technically true.
Okay, I have to mention this. Damn it, we're running out of time.
But then the whole dating situation and come on.
Turn your radios and computers up to 11. Big news.
Big news.
This is Spinal Tap. Sequel is going to happen. They are going to start filming in February. Paul McCartney, Elton John, and Garth Brooks will all make cameos. Rob Reiner is going to be directing. Harry Shearer will reprise his role as Derek Smalls, which is of interest to me. You know him as the voice of The Simpsons, and you know him from this movie. I know Harry Shearer as a guy who, although this is tapered off, maybe he hasn't liked what he has seen recently, who would regularly DM me via Twitter, now X, and offer insight, often criticism, to my CNN show. So I sent him a note via DM and said, hey, congratulations on this. But he is very political. He's very smart.
Yes.
Very insightful.
Nuanced and analytical.
Yeah. And so for a long time, I don't know that we've ever even met. But I'm happy for him, and I'm thrilled that the movie is going to come back. TC After Dark. Speaking of cameos,
you have a cameo.
I have a cameo in TC After Dark. I have no idea why you wanted me to talk about my snack habits.
Because you like to snack, and I appreciated your insight.
Oh,
and it's all on snacking.
Okay.
Which is one of my hobbies and one of your hobbies.
Your snacking is much healthier than my snacking. Ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to the daily newsletter. Listen to TC After Dark. I've got some podcasts as well. And like and subscribe on YouTube. See ya.